Hello, good morning to everybody. My name is Lilac Wassermann. I'm the head of global outreach at Mifras, an educational entrepreneurship incubator from Israel, a startup nation. Shalom. We are very proud and honored to have Dr. Chen Weinhebber, the co-founder and CEO of Mifras, together with us today. And we are both here to share our work at Mifras, the educational entrepreneurship incubator. We are also very proud to be known as the startup nation and working very, very hard to make the education system become as innovative and entrepreneurial as the technology industry. Chen?
Good morning, everyone. We are very happy to be here. And we are very excited to join and share our knowledge with the very impressive and interesting education system in Estonia. We traveled to Estonia, we learned a lot about you, and the Estonia delegation visited us. So we think we have a lot in common in one point of looking at the education system, and in others we can help each other to develop and embrace new ways of thinking about the education system. So very nice to meet you.
Of course, we both would have preferred to meet you all face to face, but circumstances were against that. So we will start with telling a little bit about what educational entrepreneurship is for us and for Israel. Trying a little bit to correlate what we know about Israel and Estonia, introduce you a little bit to the education system in Israel, and some very interesting case studies of educational entrepreneurship and their impact on the Israeli education ecosystem. So first of all, what we wanted to share is that the state of Israel as a state was created as an entrepreneurial act. As we believe that Estonia also sang itself to freedom, which is also a free spirit entrepreneurial act. So we have that in common. Israel did not exist before 1948 and became a state not from a government action, but from many, many civil society organizations that has become a state entities. Every civil organization that created the state of Israel was actually an entrepreneurial and a result of a social activism. And this is the reason that Israel as a state has more innovation coming from the civil society and embraced by the government and not the other way around. We believe that in Estonia, more innovation is coming from the government sector into the civil society. In Israel, it's the other way around. We are not in a Zoom, but we still wanted to create some kind of an interactive relationship between us, the lecturer, and you, the audience, all the amazing educators in the audience. Hopefully, many of you are also entrepreneurs. So we are inviting you to use the QR that will be on the screen right now and join us if you can with two different options. One through the WhatsApp group, which in Israel is the most common way of communication. But if you don't have a WhatsApp and you prefer a Padlet, then there is also a Padlet. We're welcoming you to these groups to comment, to ask questions during this session. We will share some links. We'll try some tools like the Mentimeter. So you're welcome. I can see that the Padlet is already occupied, and I'm very happy. So please join us. And before we move on, just one sentence about why we have so many sea and ships in our design, as you can see on the slide. So there is a circle around the sail. The Mifras is the Hebrew word for sail. I believe the word in Estonia is too complicated. I tried, but wasn't very successful about it. One thing we wanted to share is regarding this very, I think, presumptuous headline with the transformation of education system, people, and societies. So our view of educational entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship as a whole is that there are two kinds of entrepreneurship that can actually change the world. The first kind is the entrepreneurship that is directed to business, to making profit. This is something that generates the economy and definitely change the world. with solution, with products that are very, very important for the society, but also for the people that are earning money. The other way we look at entrepreneurship is social entrepreneurship. The social entrepreneurship promotes better society and creates an activism and therefore changes the world. And there is a strong relationship between business entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. The mindset, the tools, the approach, the way the entrepreneurs themselves perceive themselves as able to change the world. This is the same with social and business entrepreneurship. And we believe that when we speak about education system has to keep innovating and keep developing. The education system of Estonia is amazing. It's one of the leading education systems in the world. You have great result in the PISA. It's sad, but we have to admit that in Israel, the results in PISA are a lot lower. But every education system in the world, whether it's best or not the best, we have to keep innovating our education system because the world is constantly innovating, changing and innovating, of course. And the role of school has to be changed and expanded in relation to what happens in the outer world. That's why we believe that education has to be entrepreneurial itself, not only to raise entrepreneurs, but also to become entrepreneurial itself. And we believe that every person can become entrepreneur, and those people that are in the education system, the educators, the professionals that are within the education system, they have the potential, sometimes they are already that, to become the changer, the constantly innovative people in the education system and do whatever is needed for the education system to develop. This is a picture we wanted to tease you a little with. It is something that for us represent the entrepreneurship spirit. You can see people that are working together with this notion of innovating and doing something good for the world or for their group or even for business. And when we started Mifras 9 years ago, we asked ourselves, can school become that with that spirit of entrepreneurship? Could school become a startup and innovation incubator, a place where everybody, the children, the parents, the educators, the community, they are all part of something that is innovative and promotive, where everybody can dream big, and dreaming is something that we use a lot when we speak about entrepreneurship, at least in Israel and in some other countries. Dreams can be dreamt and can come true. And the question we asked ourselves is, could school be a place where these things happen? Because we know that traditionally schools are sometimes system where people come, learn, go home. Sometimes they like it, sometimes not. But it is definitely not a place where innovation lives day by day, minute by minute. And these are some pictures from our principal and educational team programs. Of course, we chose the ones with the most smiling faces. We do have some tough moments and frustrations, but what you can see here is people that are thinking of how to make the system more entrepreneurial and innovative, and it makes them really, really happy. And we are proud to say that after asking these questions ourselves 9 years ago, we know after this time that has passed that it could happen, that schools can realize different dreams. We have already 250 schools that realizes 250 different dreams, and it is different because each school has a different dream, different challenges, different environment, different community, and different needs that has to be met by the dream. So we know it is possible. We wanted, I managed to stop that. One of the inspiration we get for what we are doing for entrepreneurship at the school level is from Steve Jobs. This is a very short interview he gave in 1995, just before he was at Next at that time, and later on he rejoined Apple. But this interview was given before he kind of created all the most beautiful things that we know from Apple. He was in a tough time of his life, not very successful at that moment. And let's listen to what he has to say.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
So there is a lot to take, I think, from this very short interview with Steve Jobs. But the last sentence, "You'll never be the same again," is something we embrace very much. When educators become entrepreneurs and keep innovating and inventing new things for their own schools and children and communities, once they do it even one time, they will never be the same again. And we will share a few stories to demonstrate that, some case studies and results. And just to kind of create a common ground for all of us, you can see here that the terminology of entrepreneurship has changed to intrapreneurship. Intrapreneurship is when employees from within the education or an organization, they act in an entrepreneurial way to change the organization or to make it better. And when we look at educators, we see them as intrapreneurs. They change the system for themselves, for the students, for the communities, etc. This is a definition of what school initiative is. A school initiative is the same like an initiative in the business world. It's a process that happens within the school, but it can, of course, it can take place in any other organization that is related to education. In Israel, we were working with the government, with the Ministry of Education, doing the same processes for within the education, not necessarily at the school level. But when we are talking about a school initiative, it is a process where the school and the team identifies opportunities and utilize them to become an innovative solution with an added value for everybody that is a part of the system. And this is just to kind of align our language so we can speak a little bit about examples. This is a short demonstration of how far an innovation initiative and entrepreneurial thinking within school can go. So as you can see, things that are starting at the level of the school can touch the parents, communities, businesses, and organizations around the school, the ecosystem, the city, and the state. Maybe it seems going too far away, but we will share two kind of case studies from the education system in Israel. But before sharing these case studies, just a few words about the education system in Israel, because it's not similar, or it has some resemblance and some differences in relation to the Estonian education system. So saying very, very fast, Israel is a young state, not only in terms of how long we are state, but also in terms of the population. 27% of the population is under 14. This is a very young country. This is a very luck for us in times of Corona, because the damage is less because the population is young. But the schooling system has to give answers to so many children. Israel is a highly educated country. As you can see the numbers here, schools are full and the academia is full. Sometimes the problems are where academic people cannot find jobs that suits them, but the population as a whole is kind of educated. The education system is very, very huge. You can also see the numbers here, many students, many teachers. The population in general is almost 10 million. It's larger than Estonia, and the education system is also larger. Classes are very big, 27 students per class, and there are bigger classes, of course. It is very centralized. This is different than the education system in Estonia. It is all managed by the government, by the Ministry of Education. They manage everything, the operation, the policy, everything is managed top down. And the principals at the school level have very less autonomy, 30% autonomy, I think, in opposed to 70% when we are talking about Estonia. It is very intercultural. Israel is very intercultural state, but the education system is separated. It means that we have 4 different education systems. You can see at the bottom of the slide, we have the Arab education system, the secular Jews, the religious Jews, and the ultra-Orthodox Jews. And each of the system is managed separately. So actually we have different regularities and rules and contents for each one of these 4 education systems as a result of these 4 education systems, but as a result of the things of issues at the whole society of Israel, there is a lot of inequality. We can see that in the outcomes from the PISA tests, where Estonia is leading at the 4th, I think, in the PISA. Israel is very, very low, in between 38 to 42 in language, science, and mathematics. But when you look at the results at PISA, you see that the most sad thing is that the gaps are very big. We have school and students that are doing very, very well, and schools and students that are doing very, very bad. And the gap is also a measurement that we are very worried about and work a lot to change. The last thing about the education system is that it is underachievement. I just mentioned the PISA result, and this is something that in Israel we work very hard to change. So that was just a slight presentation of the Israeli education system, and now just for understanding how the education system and entrepreneurship, what happens when they meet. And I wanted to share 2 stories of 2 different schools from our incubator that had dream and realized their dream. The picture that you watch now is the principals of these schools. You can see Orit at the right and Majda on the left. Their school is just 70 kilometers apart, but the gap is huge between the 2 schools. Where Orit leads a school that is one of the best schools in Israel. It is definitely the biggest high school in Israel. It is located in a neighborhood, in a town that is strong, very strong middle class. And the students at her school are top students. Most of them are families are educated, academically educated. They have teenagers that are prize winning for science, for music, for art, for sport. Very strong teachers, very diverse courses, and as you can understand, it's a quite easy space to be an entrepreneur. Majda, on the other hand, is leading a school, an elementary school, in a socio-economical periphery of Israel, Arabs, Muslims, where children have families that are very weak economically and socially. Parents are mostly working in jobs that are physically effort, and they pay not much. The family would be working in construction, in cleaning offices and houses, truck driving, and things like that. Some of the families would not have someone to provide for them. But Orit and Majda are same part of the Mifras incubator and did the same pathway together, learned from each other. And I would like to tell you a little bit more about the entrepreneurial initiation of Orit. What Orit wanted to her students, which again are top best students with a great environment, And you can see the central room of the school with the ladder and the cloud. And what she wanted for her children was that they won't just go to school and do their best, but that they will be able to self-direct themselves and self-lead themselves. I think this is correlating much with this conference ID and intentions. She wanted her students to look into their future as soon as they get to 7th grade, which is the first grade of the high school, to look into the future and think of what they want to do, what they want to do for themselves, who they want to become, how they want to make a living, what kind of family, what kind of society they want to live in, what kind of community they want to be part of or to build, to think very, very far away ahead and to self-direct themselves through the school years and after the school years to where they want to be. And to do that, they start with defining in a way of self-awareness, to define with every child what are their strengths and their weaknesses and what they dream about. There is a lot of discussions about dreams with the children in each of the grades. What you see at the left side of the slide is the cover of the notebook they are using to kind of capture every step of the way where the children are thinking and rethinking their future and thinking of what they need to do in order to meet their goals. So they have changed the whole courses and the whole curriculum of the school to match with the children's dreams. So if the children were very interested in cyber, they created a cyber environment and cyber courses. If they are very interested in art, they created arts for them, but they also created leverage for them to think of themselves as the creators of their lives, but also as impactful human beings in the future. And as this initiation kept going, there was one teacher, and there is also always a group of teachers that are leading the initiative. The teacher's name is Natalie Sananes, and you can see this is from Google Play. It's an application she developed together with other teachers and the students to support this whole dreaming and self-directing process. You cannot see the word because it is in Hebrew, but the actual application, this is just a screenshot from Google Play, is showing how the children are defining their dreams. And this is like an inspiration board, like Pinterest for their dream. And they are encouraged by this application to put pictures and quotes and inspiring links to define their dream. This is not a very easy process to be a dreamer, but the application is supporting that. She developed this application under a very unique collaboration we have at Mifras with another incubator that is incubating EdTech, Technology for Education. And we are collaborating when there is an idea that comes from a school, an initiative that wants to be promoted, then we do it together, and this is a product. The Natalie product is from there. The name is very nice, Amy, but we are already moving forward with the slides. And this is the other example story, case study we wanted to share for Majda. So when Majda started dreaming about her school and about her children, she dreamt, and I described the situation in her town before, she dreamt about children that are also leaders. It's quite the same dream as Orit, but in different circumstances. And she wanted to see her children at the school becoming a dreamer of a future that is better and more progressive than their parents' life. She understood, together with her team of teachers, she understood that the children do not have dreams that are taking them further than their parents' life. They know their parents' life, their little town, but they don't dream beyond that. And she wanted them to become a dreamer and to later on become the leaders of the community. So to do that, she kind of took two ways. The one way was to change the pedagogy within the school to help the children imagine a different future than their parents, and to understand that they can reach things that are beyond what they see in front of their eyes. This was the pedagogy within the school, and the teachers were very enthusiastic about it. and some of them went to some different courses to study how to coach and how to help children become dreamers and leaders. But then, just at the beginning of the process, she and her team also understood that when the children are doing this kind of process, but the parents are not part of it, then it won't work. It would be intimidating to the parents, and the parents cannot support the children in that process. So the biggest thing that she did together with her team was to initiate a parent school. And at the first steps of this parent school, what Majda thought is that she would have a top of 5 or 6 mothers coming into this school to study how to support their children, how to become coaches for their children, how to be able to help them with their studies, how to work with the first steps of teenager age, etc. And of course, if children has some disabilities in studying, that also has to support that. And what you see in the picture is something that is very exciting and very unusual. It's just almost the first course that was taken in a parent school, and you can see how many mothers joined. And the teacher of the parent school are the teacher from the school. The same teachers that are teaching the children took upon themselves another assignment to teach the parents. And what you cannot see in the picture is two very excited things that was created from the first stage of the parent school. The first thing is that the fathers also joined, and in the Arab Islamic society, it's not very regular, it's not very common. So there was fathers joining, and the courses today are both genders are part of it. And the other very exciting things that happen, and this is demonstrating how far entrepreneurship can go and innovation can go, is that this parent school was initiated for the parents of the school, Majda's school. But later on, when it was so successful, many other parents from other schools wanted to join it. So they kept pressuring the mayor of this city, and the mayor announced, and it was just before the corona, so it has to be delivered after we are back to normal. But the mayor decided to create a parent school, to initiate a parent school for the whole parents of the town, much beyond just Majda school. And this is really demonstrating how far it can go, and very exciting. And I'm sure that while I'm speaking, you think of yourselves, of your own schools, of your own education organization, and you're asking yourself, what happens to the teacher at the school when all this progress is happening? Some teachers, and this is all around the world, it's the same in Israel, and now it is the same in Estonia and other countries. Teachers are sometimes very senior. They're working for many, many years in the education system. They used to do the same thing over and over again, and they suffer from burnout. So I'm sure that you know that when we approach teachers with all the enthusiasm and all these ideas, they probably would kind of wear some kind of a coat and an umbrella and say, okay, been there, done that, move on. This is more Israeli approach. They would tell you, just move on, leave us alone. So this is a picture from a team at one of the schools in Israel. You can see them all smiling, but they were smiling after 2 years. At the first, some of these ladies over there, which I know very closely, were not so smiling. Some of them were also almost fired from the school since they didn't want to be part of the initiative and the innovation that was there at the school. I would say that if we look at these teachers, and we know that even though the teachers that are in resistance to any change, and they are tired, and sometimes they are rightfully tired from everything that is happening, there are 3 ways to keep them collaborating and even falling in love with the initiative. The first way is to work very, very, and I will elaborate on that more as we go, is to be very, very bottom-up players, not to force anything top-down. And when we do that in a change management process that is managed to allow the teacher participate in their own pace and think of what they would like to do and not be forced to do anything they don't want, then usually it works. And it works because dreaming has a very, very, very strong, I would say, for every human being, dreaming is something that we eventually, even if not at the beginning, we kind of embrace. So allowing the teacher to dream their own dreams, not the school dream, not what is forced by the principal or the leading team. To become a dreamer, it takes some time, but eventually most of the people, most of the teachers are opening up to that. And what we do not wait for all of them to join. We work with the early adapters, with the ones that are dreaming more easily and go to make their dreams come true, even in a small, very limited experiences within the schools. And what happened is that we find, like you see in this title, that entrepreneurship is contagious. Contagious is not a good word in these days pandemic, but we chose it anywhere because it could be positive. It could be something that enthusiasm and dreaming is doing for the people. It makes them infected and participative. And sometimes it takes long time, but most of the times it works. We know it from 250 schools experience. It needs a lot of work and hard work, but eventually it has results. So I think we kind of speak about the what is entrepreneurship, how it could look like at the school level. But I'm sure all of you are here to understand how it could be done. So the rest of this session will be dedicated to the how. And the first thing we all have to understand about the how is that when education systems around the world are approaching innovation at the school level, mostly they start with what you see here on the left, is the top-down reforms, which many researchers all around the world, not just in Israel, we know that top-down reforms do not work. You can see here the umbrella and the education system walking by, not getting too much wet and not changing too much. The other, I would say, strategy to do that is the external agents, is kind of bringing into the system ed tech programs from other parts of the countries. I don't know how you do with mathematics, but in Israel we are importing the Singaporean and the Taiwanese program, trying to match it to the Israeli reality, but eventually what comes from the outside has some degree of impact, some better and some less. But when you look at the third way, the field agent, there is something about the field agents, as we were looking before, at the principal and at the teachers and the educational staff, the people that are part of the organization, the entrepreneurs, the fields are full with professionals that maybe they are asleep right now or burnout, but you can wake them up. So we are targeting the field agent and we are working through the principal and the leading teams. This is a kind of a short break for me to stop talking, and I cannot even see you, so I'm just talking to my computer, and ask you there in the audience, if you could be, and you are, the dreamer for your education system, for your school, for your education organization, what would you dream on? And this is a link via QR to a Mentimeter. We will also share in the WhatsApp group a different link, the regular link, and in the Padlet. And you're invited to the Mentimeter to share in just a few words, what do you dream? If you were to take your team, and you are, to take your team into a different innovative school, what would you do? So please feel free to scan the QR and start putting your dreams inside. And I will also try to, in parallel, to share the link. I do not see any dreams here, and I probably because sharing your dream is kind of intimate. But let's see some courageous dreams. Okay, mindfulness is coming in, but you cannot see that because I have trouble finding the link to send to you all. So bear with me so you can see the outcomes. But Chen, if you can help me with that. So those of you who are in the WhatsApp group, the results are coming. Here is the link, and the Padlet will also have it in a second. I hope you can see because I cannot share my screen, but I will thank you for doing it in English. I will read some of your dreams. They are dreams of no grading, not numeral grading, integrated studies, no more subjects, more happiness. I'll second that. Teamwork, entrepreneurial skills, mindfulness program, financial literacy, coaching students, teacher coaching students, cooperation, coaching for teachers. This is another dream that is related for enthusiastic teacher, more happiness. Cooperation is again here. Teachers, coaches coming in again, coaching students. Coaching has a lot of impact here, and also coaching and also happiness. Entrepreneurial children, integrated studies, 75 minutes lessons. Entrepreneurial skill is getting bigger, which is okay. Creativity, courage, mindfulness has more than just one. Motivated teachers. It is moving so fast, I cannot follow. Thank you all for participating. We will leave it open so you can keep putting your dreams there. Creativity, courage again, cooperation again. Okay, these are very, very exciting dreams and a great starting point for lots of innovation and entrepreneurial action within your schools. In Israel, we say once you know a person's dream, you are in a very intimate relationship with. So I cannot see you, I cannot hear you. It is a one-side process, but still we are intimate enough to share dreams and look at these dreams, and they are really, you can see me smiling. It's really, really exciting. So I'll keep telling you how you can maybe make your dreams come true, how we do it in Israel. It is a lot, it is leaning a lot on the shoulders of the entrepreneurs. We entrepreneurs have to have very wide shoulders. So about the way we work at Mifras, you can see that Mifras was a dream, but Chen was one of the dreamers. She's with us. And the dream started, sorry, it started with the finance that came from philanthropic foundations. And this is how entrepreneurship works. 2 years after Mifras started working, the Ministry of Education joined after he understood how successful it is, and it became a very 50% partner in the initiative of Mifras. This is how things can grow and get an impact. So currently we are advising to the Minister of Education regarding entrepreneurship at all aspects, all level, not only schools, but also kindergartens and the ministry itself. The way we work at the school, I was saying a few words about the school change management. We start with the principal. We believe that the principal are the most important linkage between dreams and realization. In Israel, principals are very professionals, They come from the pedagogy area. It's not like an administrative role. It's a very professional pedagogic role. So the principals start, and then we do it in a program that they come once every 2 weeks for a program with other principals, and they get mentorship at the level of the school. But very, very soon, we start with the principal, and after a few days, we create together with the principal a team at the school level that is called the Mifras team. It is the school team that is chosen for the process and leads together with the principal this whole process. And we are very, very insisting on this team have the people that are most innovative, but the others that are more in resistance. Because once they are part of this team that leads the change, they are resisting along the way, but little by little, they get part of it. And this is very important. So the team is led by the principal itself with the material we provide the principal, but also by us, by the mentors from Mifras. And the third stage, which is also very, very early in the process, even after 3 weeks, and we're talking about the process that lasted 2 years. So at the very, very beginning of the process, after just a few weeks, the whole school is little by little joining. The first, of course, the group of the teachers, but the students, the parents, the community, and the whole ecosystem is inserted to the process very, very early to make sure that we have everyone aligned and that the dream is the right thing for the school and everybody is aligned with that, and to make sure that everyone that wants to be part of it can be part of it, even and it's not even, the word even is not right. Sometimes the security person of the school takes a very major part here. Sometimes the house father, I'm not sure it's English, but the people that are like the janitor and the people that are taking the administrative part are part of these teams. They are very important, and as much as we can embrace them and bring them into the process as soon as possible, we do that. Okay, methodology. We are following a very structured methodology, and the methodology is aimed not only to create the outcomes of the initiative, like you saw with Dorit and with Majda, it is always also aimed to create the mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset of everybody that is part of it, so they can keep innovate and keep being entrepreneur along the process. So I don't have much time, and I want to share another short thing with you. Then I'll just let you see the methodology, the spark, the dream always generate the process. Then we follow the design thinking process with deep comprehensive research. They do by themselves, the team at the school. They do ideation. Ideation is very important to step out of the comfort zone and do more than just more of the same. There is the design phase, which is creating plans that are all lean on tools from the entrepreneurship world that we brought from the outside world, from the entrepreneurship at the business level, and of course the execution. So when we follow this guidelines and this methodology, and people are joining more and more during this process, it kind of guarantees the success by the end of the process. So looking at the timeline, we will be very happy to answer questions. You are welcome to send them by the Padlet and the Zoom and the WhatsApp group. We will be answering questions even after the session, and you can all see that. I just want to jump ahead, forward as much as I can to the quote I wanted to, I just jumped on the results. We are very proud that we have 89% of the teachers agreeing that the entrepreneurship Mifras has brought to the school has a positive effect at school. As you know that top-down reforms do not get such enthusiasm from the teachers. And this is just because of the fact that dreaming and being part of the process that is bottom up is creating a very, very high level of satisfaction at the teacher's level. So one last minute, And I wanted to share a quote that we like from Albert Einstein, saying insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Changing education system, developing it, creating innovation, matching your own dreams. You had lots of dreams there about mindfulness and coaching and no grades and collaborations. Everything, if we do it the same way we did everything until that point, we will get very similar results. And doing things differently requires entrepreneurial thinking. There is no other way. This is how we believe. So I'll just say goodbye with a lot of luck to you all in your entrepreneurial journey to make a great education system that keeps innovating, because Estonia has a world class education system, but it can be innovated and meet the needs of the environment more and more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. Lot of good ideas. We have some question from audience, and first one is a very practical one. How is career education organized in Israel? Is it connected to entrepreneurship studies?
Well, but Chen has a very enthusiastic approach to that, so I'll let her answer.
So I think career education or getting ready to your life in Israel, it's not just looking at what you are going to do as an adult in your occupation. It's something more wide, because people should get ready to their lives in many different ways. And there is programs that started in Israel during these last years that develop the options of creating different skills and different way of thinking through the process of getting ready to life. It's not just career development. We don't have enough time to show you the model, but if there will be a time after the questions, we can show you for a few minutes the model that we wanted to show you about developing the connection to life, we call it. It's not just career development, it's connection to life development. And it also concludes the family relations and the civil process that is of students influencing and changing the system and changing the community that they are part of. So maybe after the questions, we will have 2 minutes to show you the model and it will be more clear.
Mm-hmm. Are the entrepreneurial competences integrated in other subjects? Is question from audience also.
As we see it, it's something that it's not just connected to one subject. It's not a lesson that we teach. We teach entrepreneurship as something as related to everything. It's related sometimes to the way that we take tests, and sometimes it's related to the way that we do the celebrations, different celebrations that school is planning. And sometimes it's related to the way that we spend the afternoon. Entrepreneurship, it's not a subject in school. As we see it, it's a way of living. And if you embrace this way of thinking, you find that entrepreneurship, you practice it every day in everything. So it's not related to subjects, it's something that is inherent to everything.
Mm-hmm. In presentation, we saw many pictures with happy faces finalizing some projects. And question is, how do you get principals on board? And do you have any municipality support in your work?
Usually, there is one condition to join MIFRAS. You should choose to join. It's not something that someone tells you to do that. But most of the principals and the teachers decide to join the process because they see that other principals in other schools made a huge change in their way of working, in their achievements, in their influence. And when people see success, they want to be a part of it. And when they understand it's all about them, it's not us. We don't give them the solutions, we don't give them the answers how they can do it. And they are very excited about it, because I think most of the time education in countries that we look at is something that teacher is being taught how to teach, and someone else tells him you should do this and that. And when you open the opportunities for people to influence the children that they really know those children that they are working with, and they know the family, and they know the environment, and they got the freedom to influence that. You see that people are excited, and people are smiling, and people are connected to their dreams and do what they believe in. And it's not something like program that everyone has to do. So this is one of the answers for how do we make it. We just make it attractive, and we make it as an option to change the world. And as we see it, people are excited to change the world. Also, educators and teachers, and of course, children are excited to change the world.
And final questions. You mentioned in your presentation the word ecosystem. I understand it as a cooperation between different organizations. What is, in your opinion, most important in attracting new partners and starting cooperation?
In our experience, we find a lot of people that are not part of the education system as really, really interested partners in influencing it. I think that education is something that is important for everyone. And people from the industry wants to get better employees when they graduate. They would like to get them better employees, and they like to get them more developed and more accurate for the jobs that they are looking for. And people from the government wants to see the citizens that are developed and are willing to challenge the changes that the world is creating for them. And everyone wants to influence education. And as we see it, factories around the schools, cultural organizations that wants to also join and influence. Also parents that has connections to different organizations. Everyone wants to influence the school system and the education system, and also are very willing to do that. So we just, as we do with the principals, we just invite people to join and to say what they think that is important, and to be able to be part of a process, not just something that, you know what, just give us money and we will do what we think. Let's do a process that shares the way of thinking and the way of creating the new education system with other opinions and other interests of organizations and people that are around the school. And these processes that invites them create the engagement and create the change that we want to create the ecosystem. And we find very interesting partnerships that create the new options for students to practice in real life and learn from real life, and not just something theoretical that happens in the classroom.
So, Lila and Chen, many thanks for your presentation and all those shared experiences. Now you can keep going in WhatsApp. Kõik saate nüüd jätkata siis küsimusi esitades WhatsAppis, aga kindlasti teise silmaga Iisraeli kolleegidega asju arutades hoidke silm peal ka sellel, mis siin laval nüüd toimuma hakkab, sest me võtame kohe ette ja vaatame neid edulugusid, mida siinsamas Eestis looduna on põhjust endale eeskujuks seada.